Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to A Customized Experience, where we'll be talking about Westminster College Customized Major Opportunity. My name is Valentina Rojas. I'm an Assistant Director of Admissions. I use the pronouns she, her, hers, and we're very, very excited that you get to join us today. On our panel today, we have Dr. Julie Stewart, who's a full-time faculty member in the Honors College. She also oversees our customized major. And then we have Maggie Regier, class of 2020. She is also our manager of alumni engagement, and she took advantage of the customized major through community health and leadership, and she also has an honors certificate. So before we get started, we will be using the Q&A format to ask any questions, so please make sure that you do submit those there. And with that being said, I will pass it along to Dr. Julie Stewart.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, Valentina. I appreciate the introduction, and I'm excited to talk a little bit about the customized major at Westminster College, and to after this presentation, to pass some time over to Maggie, and then we'll answer any questions you might have. So first, I'm going to just share my screen with y'all. I have a short presentation that will help orient you to what the customized major is and what it can do. So bear with me for just a second, and we've got, I'm hoping, a customized major. And I'll just give you a quick rundown on what the customized major is. So again, my name is Julie Stewart, and I'm a professor of sociology, and I mostly work in the Honors College, but I also direct the customized major. And you may ask yourself, what is the customized major? And I always find that the best way to answer that question is by telling you a little bit about some of the students who either have done or are doing the customized major program here at Westminster College. So first, we see Kate Blair. And she is finishing up this year, and her customized degree is in dance pedagogy for multilingual learners. And here's a picture of Kate in action. And what I wanted to, I asked her, what did the customized major do for you, and what is it preparing you for? And she said, well, it captures her passion for artistic expression and creating equitable educational spaces for language learners. And she said it really affirmed her belief that movement arts can be accessible, and it allows people of all walks of life to build community and engage in authentic storytelling. She drew on her work in the customized major to do specific honors research, which was funded. That also set her up really nicely to do a residency in the Arts Bridge program. And Kate says that after graduation, she plans to continue to build her capacity to serve diverse learners through arts and language integration in elementary through doing a master's at Westminster College, and she will also get an endorsement in teaching English as a second language. She's also pursuing a Sorensen Arts Scholarship, and she really has loved this program. So that's just a little bit about Kate. The next student whose work I wanted to highlight is Chris Manfrey. And he graduated a few years ago in 2019. He did his customized major in biomedical illustration, which basically combined a deep dive into physics, biology, chemistry, and other natural sciences, along with refining a set of skills that he already had in illustration and graphic design. And he currently works as an animator for Gantry Creative. And he said that he actually came back to school as a non-traditional student. He had done previous coursework at Selleck Community College. He was a father, he was working full-time, but he'd never quite completed that bachelor's degree. And so he says the customized major allowed him to achieve his dream, to complete his degree, but to do so while studying subjects that he was authentically interested in. After graduating with his customized degree, he was offered a job at Intermountain Healthcare. He worked there for a couple of years as a designer and animator, And then he decided he wanted to go back into slightly more creative work, which is what he's currently doing. So that's just a little bit about Chris. The next student I wanted to highlight is our current student body president. His name is Obeid, and in this picture, he's the third from the left. And I loved this picture because it really captures the kind of community that is at the essence of Obeid's work here at Westminster. And so Obeid is doing a customized major in international political economy. Obeid would not be the first to admit this because he doesn't like to brag, but he speaks, I think, 9 languages. And Obeid works in a number of offices on campus. And he said that as a first-generation student and a person of color, this customized degree provided kind of a sense of inclusion for him, a kind of like ability to work in community with other people, taking a lot of academic disciplines to become well-rounded and educated and to become a real global citizen and global leader. So Obeid's plans post-graduation are to pursue a joint degree in international relations and public policy. Okay, so then with having now seen a few of the different students who are doing the customized major currently or who have graduated from this program, you may say, okay, so what is it exactly? And I would say, well, what you need to know about the customized major is it is student initiated and student designed. So students really are the momentum behind the customized major program here. It is always interdisciplinary, bringing in multiple different disciplines, but students don't do it alone. They always have 2 faculty advisors from different areas of expertise who help guide those students in creating and completing their degree. And then they have me. I'm the program director who brings it all together. And it's really my privilege and passion to do so. So who is it for? I would say it is for a whole range of people. It can be for traditional students with specific passions. So students who start out at age 18, 19, 20. It can be great for transfer students who are working to complete coursework in a focused kind of way. It can be particularly amenable to returning students who have maybe had time away and now are coming back to college with a real vision of what they want to do. And it is also for students who want to explore and possibly change their direction midstream. So sometimes students start college with an idea that they want to major in X, and at a certain point they decide, oh, actually I want to do X, Y, and Z. So so the customized major really creates kind of an inclusive way to do that. What I wanted to share with you here is an example of some of the majors that students have done. And so on the left-hand column, you'll see a whole list of things that students have done. On the right, we kind of see our conventional majors. We see biology, math, economics, literature. These are all fantastic things to study, and the customized major allows you to combine those fields in unique ways. So you're able to do maybe a little bit more with your degree than you might be able to do if you chose just one path. And then you might say, well, what do students do once they sort of come up with their degree plans and put it in place and they take their coursework? Well, the last thing we do is every customized major has a capstone. And the capstone, as this image kind of reflects, is that really crucial piece that comes at the end of an academic journey. And students who do this program can choose to do any number of capstones, which serve as important finales for their time here. They can create or direct a film or play. They can write a thesis or research paper. Sometimes they come up with a business plan. They often do a final year internship. Sometimes students do a portfolio of photos that they put together if they're doing more of like a visual arts kind of major. People have put together websites, they've created and choreographed dances, they have done that and so many more things. And so then you might say, well, where does that lead students? And one of the things I'm always really excited to do is to follow what students do post-graduation. They are enrolling in PhD programs across the US, in the Netherlands, Spain, and the UK. They are starting local businesses. They're getting jobs with places like JP Morgan, making a lot of money. They're deciding to go a different route and make less money, but work in the Peace Corps and move to the Philippines. They are attending top 20 medical schools. They are working with nonprofits locally and across the country. They are attending top 20 law schools, and some of them work at Westminster. And so with that, I want to end my, my presentation and turn some time over to Maggie, who's one of our amazing customized major grads who post-graduation decided to take a job at Westminster. And so let me turn that time back over to Maggie.
Well, hi everybody. I graduated this last spring and I'm working in the Alumni Relations Office, and I am a proud customized major. I will have to say, first off, the biggest perk is getting to work with Julie Stewart as the program director. So that makes it all pretty great. I actually started college planning to get a bachelor's of fine arts in theater performance, and I wanted to be an actress. And then you would say, well, isn't your degree in community health? Like that's a complete 180. And I actually think that it wasn't. And it's because the customized major program that I was able to see how those things fit together. And so I started out again in the theater program, and then just for funsies, I decided to take a public health class one semester because I had room and I had space, and I thought, wow, this is really amazing. I want to study more of this, but I still love theater and I love that background. And for me, theater had always been about a bigger picture. I was choosing to get an acting degree because that's what I wanted to do, but I always knew that theater was about telling stories and about bringing people together and about making the world a more beautiful place, right? What is the world without the arts? And public health was also a way to help shape a better world. And I just had this wild idea that theater and public health somehow fit together. And then I was able to get with Julie, and we worked it out over a couple months, 6 months maybe. And people always ask, they're like, okay, public health and theater, like, really? Those two go together? And somehow over the 4 years, I really managed to get them to fit all together. Because the beautiful thing about the customized major is that it's sort of about building your degree around a question or an idea. And my idea was, like, how do I build happier and healthier communities? Like, that is what I wanted to do at the end of the day. And I wanted to look at multiple avenues and multiple tools to do that. So sometimes that's through the arts. So my sophomore year, I was an Arts Bridge scholar, and I taught a drama class to refugee students in South Salt Lake for a year, which was a super rewarding experience. And then my final semester of college, I was also an intern for the Utah Democratic Party. And I learned about all these public health theories and practices and policies. And this summer, I volunteered with the Salt Lake County Health Department to do COVID testing. Really exciting. And all of these at their core are about building happier and healthier communities. And that's how they all fit together. And actually at the end, my capstone was doing Westminster Thinks Big, which is sort of our version of TED Talks. And I argued that arts access belongs in the social determinants of health. Like, what are the social factors that make up if a person is going to live a healthy life? So we often think of those like socioeconomic status, race, educational background, things like that. But I'm a huge believer that the arts belong there, and a lack of access to the arts impacts our emotional well-being. And that's a really vital part of living a healthy and happy life, right? And it's all about this holistic look to, like, how can we really build up communities? And so, yeah, I don't really know where else I was going with that. But I am hoping to attend graduate school in community leadership again here at Westminster. If you can't tell, I love Westminster. So you should definitely consider Westminster. And like my big dreams are to run for mayor of Salt Lake one day, and things like that, because that to me feels like the ultimate. Working in cities and municipalities really feels like a way to bring all of these thoughts that I have together that I built in my customized major program. And frankly, I think the ability to have an interdisciplinary degree was the best thing that I got out of college, to meet so many different professors with so many different backgrounds. And often in classes, we would really be chatting about the same issues, and people were just taking their different lenses from it, either from communications or from business or from theater or from public health. And it really allowed me to choose what it stood out to me more, what I connected with most in terms of community change, and to see that we're all at the end of the day working to do the same thing. And so it's just sort of about harnessing all of our different strengths. And so, yeah, I think that's a really beautiful thing about the customized major.
Thank
Are
you.
there any questions? Oh, yep.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was going to open up the Q&A. But before that, I have to do a shameless plug. Do the Community Leadership Masters. It is very worth it and really awesome.
Perfect.
Okay, so the first question on our Q&A is, how do students in the customized major get to know other students around campus, since a lot of their work is independent? And maybe Julie, or actually either of you, whomever wants to take the answer.
How about I get us started very briefly, and I'll let Maggie add to that. So the other thing I think we need to know about Maggie is that she was also our student body president. And so her path to politics may be preordained by past precedent. But how do people, if you're doing your own major, how do you meet people? You know, the answer to that is one word. It's Westminster. We are a small community. We meet people through our classes, through a whole series of robust student clubs, through all of our civic engagement. Every day, because we're so small, we have so many opportunities to meet each other. And so that's how I get to meet tons of students. But I'm curious to hear from Maggie how you have met other students. How did you build community while doing an independent-minded major?
Yeah, well, I actually think it's probably easier to meet people by doing a customized major than by just sticking to a predetermined major. Like you said, Westminster, it's small and it's community-based, and so I never had a class that was more than 20 students, and so I befriended several people in every class. I live in an off-campus house now, and all of the girls in my house, we met our first year living in the dorms. We all lived in Carlson, and they're all STEM majors, so I know them and their friends because they're hardcore science geeks. And I know some communication majors because I had classes with them and I did group projects with them, and I knew public health majors because I had classes with them, and then I did the feminist club, and so I made those friends, and I feel like I know lots of people, and so being a custom major certainly didn't hinder my ability to meet people. And often I would say that because like Westminster inherently is a little bit more interdisciplinary than other colleges, especially I was also in the honors college, so I met a ton of people through that because that's everybody in every major is in that program. But friends of mine who are in more serious majors often didn't even know who all of their cohort was until their like senior research or capstone classes. So yeah, I met all kinds of people through doing, because I dipped my toe in all of the different pools and I love people, so I just befriended them all.
Thank you. So yes, being a customized major does not necessarily mean that you are going through college on your own.
Definitely.
Which is really great. Great. We have another question regarding internships, and we heard a little bit about Maggie, how you had a couple internships while you were at Westminster. How did you manage to get those? Or like, you know, do you get assistance from your professors or the Career Center? What was the process like?
Sure. Well, my first internship was a theater internship, and that was my professors were working on a show, and they asked me if I wanted to work on it with them, and then so that became an internship. And then the Utah Democratic Party internship is offered through the Honors College, and so they just promoted it out to everyone. The Career Center is a great resource. I feel like I never really sought out an internship. They just sort of kept showing up, and I would say, oh, that sounds fun. So I would say that there's plenty of opportunity, especially if you're doing something interdisciplinary like a custom major. Like, your opportunities to intern are much broader than if you're looking to do something specific. And there's always emails going out and bulletin boards going up and professors talking to you about something. And so, yeah, I feel like maybe that's kind of a cop-out answer, but they just kind of showed up and I did them.
And I would just add that I think Maggie was in a somewhat unique position because you'd already done you were engaged in a lot of leadership-oriented activities. And so someone might say, like, well, what if I'm not planning to run for student body president and I just want to do my major and that, you know, like that is actually a more common experience, right? Being a student here and wanting to make the most out of your degree. And so usually when I work with customized major students, we talk about internships early, and I have them register with the Career Center, get on Handshake, which is our little way of finding out about internship opportunities. There are events that happen on a regular basis when we do, God willing, move beyond our COVID world and we're back in person. We typically have events once a week where students get to learn about internship opportunities. And then there are a lot of ways that different faculty connect students with internship options locally and more broadly. So there's a lot of different avenues from the most expected ones to some unexpected ones. And I do think the internship part of a student's undergraduate experience is often the most important thing they do. It lets you know what you're good at in a real life setting. It lets you know what you like and what you don't like. And it's critical for making connections. So that's something that I have a lot of passion about myself.
Thank you. We have time for maybe a couple more questions, but how early can a student start working with you to customize their own major? You know, as we're talking to, so this panel has been focused for counselors, right? As we're counseling students through the process of applying to Westminster, is that something that we want them to have in mind from the beginning, or what's the process like?
That's a great question. And I would say typically with first year students, I'm always thrilled to meet with them and talk to them about what their interests are. And I usually say, hey, don't make this decision quite yet. Give yourself permission to explore a range of coursework. Take some classes that you never would have even thought you might be interested in, so that you can really give yourself time to discover what your passions might be. And then often students and I start working together more closely at the end of their sophomore year, so that by the time they're in their junior year, they have a sense of what they want to do, and the pieces are starting to fall into place. Having said that, sometimes people come to me a little bit later than that because they've realized, oh my gosh, I thought I wanted to do chemistry because I'm pre-med, and now I just realized I don't want to be pre-med. And they want to do a 180 shift. So the good thing about Westminster is, again, because we're small, we can be very nimble and flexible. So really timing doesn't have to be an impediment to any student working towards the degree that they want. When they are ready to try to customize it, we are waiting.
Sorry, I had a little bit of issues on muting, as you know, COVID world. And then we have one last question here. What do employers think of the customized major?
I think that is a great question. Yeah. And I will say that in this era, there are so many well-qualified people for nearly every position, and so to the degree that students can make themselves stand out, they will be more competitive. And I've found that my students really do stand out. I would say that another way that students lead to that postgraduate success is through doing an internship and creating those connections through the internship. So, so I think I always encourage my students to think of their customized major as an opportunity to start a conversation, because then the employer can say, well, what is your major? And they don't have necessarily a preconceived notion of what it is, because it's unique. And so it opens the door to a great conversation. And I don't know if Maggie what would you add?
Well, I would just add that my peers in the customized major program, I mean, when I was student body president, the whole student board almost was all customized majors. And like one of them is a Truman Scholar. And I would just say that I think I perceive it as taking initiative and seeing how things fit together. And that was in my experience, and the experience of my peers are all, I just think, excellent people. And I think anybody would be excited to hire a customized major. And again, it's at having a conversation. Some folks who I talked to who graduated before I did said that exact same thing, that they would use their opening question would be about their major, and then it allowed them to talk about what they were passionate about and to show off their skill set really early on in the interview and set them up for success. So I think that employers don't know what to think of a customized major, and you get to show them how cool it is. So.
Well, thank you very much, Julie and Maggie, for joining us this afternoon and telling us a little bit about the customized major. I would say it is definitely one of the cooler things that we have to offer at Westminster. But everybody, thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that you have a wonderful rest of your Tuesday.